If you are on the twin flame journey, it is more likely than not that you will go through a dark night of the soul at some point. Now, dark night of the soul, to define it quickly, I assume you kind of already suspect it if you're on this video, is that point in your journey where it feels like rock bottom, right? Where you're deeply questioning everything about yourself or everything you know about your twin flame or your spirituality, or you might feel tempted to giving up. You feel like you're just kind of hopeless, like there's no way out. And it's just like truly feels like your darkest moment, right? You feel like you're kind of in the cave of your greatest fear, right? Questioning everything. So most people will go through that at some point, and I know that sounds like really scary, but if and when you do encounter it, it's for your spiritual benefit, right? On the other side of a dark night of the soul is a stronger feeling of being rooted in yourself, like more inner power, deeper love within yourself, deeper love with you and your twin flame. And ultimately, like, you're going to feel more peace and more whole after overcoming like whatever challenge is being presented to you through your dark night of the soul. But the purpose of this video is to get clear on like what to do if you are in a dark night of the soul, what's going to help and where you need to root and ground in. Before we do that, I do want to talk to you about why a dark night of the soul happens on a twin flame journey. It's not because your twin flame journey is supposed to be painful or chaotic or crazy. A dark night of the soul happens because it's more like an extreme purge of things that are not in alignment with your true self and your union coming up all at once to leave. This can feel very intense and scary, and you know, like you're powerless. That's all happening because you're essentially like purging what is not in alignment with you and not in alignment with your union, right? So that's why I said on the other side, you're going to feel more powerful because you're purging that powerlessness. On the other side, you're going to feel more loved within yourself and with your twin flame because you're purging those deep-seated beliefs or patterns or wounds of a lack of love. So that is why it's so intense, and that's why it comes up, is because your twin flame journey is meant to bring you home to love and home to your true self, and so you're going to release anything that isn't in alignment with that. And sometimes that release feels like it's kind of happening all at once, and it can feel very intense for some people. Okay. So that is, kind of the background explanation. Now we're going to get into what to do if you find yourself in a dark night of the soul. Okay. I have 11 points to go over with you, and I'm going to do my best to explain them as directly and as completely as possible at the same time. So first, if you feel like you're in a dark night of the soul, don't resist your feelings. Like, allow yourself to have whatever experience you're having. Like, if you're feeling deep grief or sadness, if you're feeling deep hurt, if you're just, really upset at the world, upset with life, upset with the journey, like, it's okay to experience that. You don't have to judge yourself or police yourself or try to love and light it away, right? You are allowed to just have the experience. So first things first is let yourself have the experience and acknowledge your feelings and where you're at. And you have to find within yourself that place where you can acknowledge that you have the power of your choice. You have the power to decide whether you will love yourself through this and open yourself up to more love and more peace, or to decide to kind of swim in the mud of it and make yourself feel bad about it and, kind of spiral the dark night of the soul further. Right? You have the power of your choice. You can't control other people's actions. You can't change the past. Those are things that are out of your locus of control, but you have power within yourself. And that is something that we have to remember and ground in order to move out of the dark night of the soul. Otherwise, you just kind of stay in that powerlessness and helplessness, and that doesn't feel good for you, and that ultimately results in people just kind of giving up, right? So you need to acknowledge that you have the power to choose your experience. Like, you have the power to claim your peace and your happiness. Even if it feels like that's far away right now, you still have the power to claim that and move towards it. The third thing, if you are experiencing a dark night of the soul, I imagine it probably feels like a lot of things in your life might be, quote, falling apart, right? Or, what's really happening is things have to break down in order for what's aligned with you to break through. But regardless of that, if it feels like a lot of things in your life are falling apart, or whether it's work or just like your routines in daily life or how you feel about yourself and see yourself, just know it's okay to focus on you right now. Right? That's the third thing. It's okay to focus on you. You don't have to worry about like getting in this like right vibration of union, being some paragon example of spiritual perfection. Like, don't get out of your head, right? It's okay to just focus on you. And if focusing on you means, man, like, I got to get my life in order, work on my foundation, like, make sure I'm paying my bills and my job feels good to me and my food and exercise are right, that's okay. I have another video on this about working on your foundation in the twin flame journey when this happens, and I'm linking it in the pinned comment, as well as in the description for you. But all that to say, like, it's okay to just focus on you. You're not going to lose anything by focusing on giving yourself the love and the support that you need right now. Okay, so giving yourself that permission is going to be key. Fourth thing is, if you haven't learned the mirror exercise, we need to learn the mirror exercise, okay? And that is also in my description and pretty much all of my YouTube videos. Mirror exercise is the fundamental tool you need to do inner work on the twin flame journey. And if you are in a dark night of the soul, you are being called to do some inner work on the twin flame journey. So knowing how to do that and actually doing it, committing to your healing process is important. Now, that doesn't mean you need to feel like you have to capture the whole nexus of the dark night of the soul in one mirror exercise. Most likely you will go through a process of multiple mirror exercises as you just let go of the layers this is bringing up. And that's okay. That's great. That's how a lot of healing happens. But dedicating yourself to the mirror exercise and that practice is key to moving through it. Okay, fourth, and this fourth one is, fifth. Okay, fifth, and this fifth one is very important to me in my personal journey, is opening yourself up to support, right? When I was in my dark night of the soul, it was darkest when I wasn't allowing myself to connect with other people and be seen in my progress and in my discomfort and in just the place I was in, right? Like letting myself be seen for where I was at. And I started connecting with some other people who were on the twin flame journey in my community, which I'm linking the Facebook group for my broader twin flame community below. But I met some other people in the Twin Flames Universe community, and we would just hang out once a week on a Zoom call, talk about our journey. And that was extremely healing for me because it allowed me to be vulnerable with other people, and being vulnerable with other people meant it takes the isolation element out of the dark night of the soul, right? And that allows you to open up to self-acceptance more and hope and feeling okay, yes, I can heal this, I can move out of it. And it's not this horrible thing where you're all by yourself in it. You are able to heal. So opening yourself up to support and connecting to community is very, very deeply healing. When we're in our darkest moments, sometimes we're tempted to not be vulnerable about it. It's really the opposite. It's the time when it's best to be vulnerable about it, because what you're going to find is you're not alone. And when you realize you're not alone, the fear that's driving the dark night of the soul begins to just disappear. Okay. So power in community and opening up to support. Okay. 6. So 6 key was I and you and like anyone who wants to move past their dark night of the soul has to like release stories of victimhood. So often on the twin flame journey, I see people, and I've been in this kind of mindset too, where you feel like this is happening to you rather than like for you. Okay. Rather than something you've called in, rather than something you have power in. So anywhere where you're still attached to victimhood and feeling like this happened to you, that's not going to help you in the long term. Okay. And that doesn't mean like we invalidate your experience of like what occurred, right? If your twin flame yelled at you, yeah, I'm just making something up right now. Like if your twin flame yelled at you and said you were dumb, right? Like that's not okay. And it's okay to acknowledge that that happened. Your twin flame was the one who made the choice to do that. And that's not okay behavior. But if you use that to feel like a victim in life and to feel disempowered and to feel like it's an excuse to not heal the deeper wound and the deeper hurt that brought up, then you're not really moving forward from it and you're doing yourself a disservice, right? So releasing victimhood is about you claiming your power back. So it's very similar to like the second thing I mentioned, it goes hand in hand. You can't claim your power back until you're willing to release stories of victimhood and say, you know what, I'm responsible for my happiness. You don't have to be a victim of the twin flame journey. Like that is not at all what is happening for you right now. So the 7th thing that helped me out of my dark night of the soul, and this one was a challenging one for me. I think it's challenging for a lot of people who are already pretty spiritual, or think of themselves as pretty spiritual coming into the twin flame journey, is I had to come to a new level of humility and accepting that like I really needed support and guidance, and there was a part of me who wasn't like was doing something that wasn't working. To explain this and give you an example of it, before my dark night of the soul, I frankly thought like I was more spiritually advanced than I was. I was advanced. Union was just going to be or harmonious twin flame union was just going to be like super easy. Like there was just like one little thing left to correct or heal, or I didn't know why people were making such a big deal about it. And it made me kind of uncomfortable because I felt like, you know, I could just have it. And I was sensing some truth. Like you can, like your harmonious union is within, it's right there. And there really it isn't much between you and harmonious union. But what was blocking me was like arrogance, right? And not being willing to be led to the deeper level that your twin flame journey calls you to. So to come out of my dark night of the soul, I had to surrender to a new level of humility and just really accept that like if I like knew what I was doing, I wouldn't be having the problem and the challenge I was having, essentially, right? And that it was okay that, you know, people who did have harmonious union or, you know, really mastered the pathway, it was okay for them to just kind of like gently nudge me and say, hey, Susie, like, here's a place where you can release victimhood, or here's a place where you can give yourself permission to think better about yourself, or like, you don't have to perform to be loved. And those messages were coming at me, but I wasn't really listening to them all the way and receiving them all the way. And choosing a deeper level of humility allowed me to receive them to the depth I needed to in order to like come out of my dark night of the soul, right? It's okay. It's okay to be guided. I think especially in Western cultures, we don't have a lot of experience with spiritual community and being safely loved and guided and led in those communities and supported. by our peers, by people who love us. And it's safe to try this, right? It's safe to try on what's genuinely in your heart. Try on what the teachings of union are guiding you to do, right? And for me, it was the teachings of union with the Twin Flames Universe community, and to try that pathway and let myself see the results of it. So humility was key there for me. So the 8th key I want to talk about is persistence. And this, there's just not much to say here, but besides, like, you will come out of your dark night of the soul if you only persist. The only way to not have greater love and greater peace on the other side is to give up. Okay. So if you just don't give up, like, you're going to win, but truly, if you just persist, you will come through. Okay. Yes. So persist through it and you will make it. Okay. 9th key. I talked a little bit about this when I talked about humility, was twin flame ascension coaching. If I didn't have a twin flame ascension coach to guide me through the dark night of the soul that came with the twin flame ascension journey, guaranteed I would have quit and had just put this journey on a box, like in a box mentally and on a shelf, but always felt upset about it, frankly. And like I abandoned myself or abandoned something or didn't see something all the way through, or, didn't really find the full truth there. Right. But because I had a twin flame ascension coach, like, she was able to point out my blind spots and able to point out like places where I was really hard on myself and I was making my own life more difficult than it needed to be. And she taught me how to just like be more forgiving and love myself and surrender more deeply to love, right? Rather than staying in a block or in negative feelings that come with the dark night of the soul. So having a twin flame ascension coach is key. Every person I know in harmonious twin flame union is still actively being coached by their twin flame ascension coach. And again, coming back to Western culture and how this is kind of new in Western culture, is like, this is how spirituality works. It's okay to find the God within you and meet the God within others. Right? And it's okay for God to speak to you within you and for God to speak to you through others as well. That is, I guess that's just what's coming through. Like, that is union, right? Is to acknowledge God is everywhere for you. God is in your brothers and sisters as much as God is in you. And it's okay to let yourself be loved by your brothers and sisters in God. And that's what your twin flame ascension coach is doing, is their literal professional job. And that's my job right now, is to love you through your twin flame ascension journey. Hold the map for you, hold the light for you as you walk your path. So, have one. Like I said, I would have quit if I didn't have one. And that's just the truth of it, right? I would have quit, or I would have struggled and felt bad about myself. It's key. I know. I wish there was more words to explain to you how important it is, but it just is, right? So do it. So number 10 is the teachings of union, right? So when I talked about like my spiritual community and my twin flame ascension coach, like, all of that is rooted in the teachings of union, right? And the teachings of union are, one, they're like a framework for you coming into union and harmonious union with your twin flame. Like, union is just boyfriend, girlfriend. Harmonious union is like you both like deeply in harmony with each other, living in harmony with each other, and knowing ultimately, like, with your whole being, that God is your ultimate lover. Right? But that's a different video, different topic we'll get into, but it's a framework for coming into that vibrational state. The tool is the mirror exercise, and the teachings of union are how you like swim in the ocean of the twin flame journey. When you are just working with your twin flame ascension coach, it's kind of like you're in a river that leads to the ocean. When you're just doing the mirror exercise, it's kind of like you're in a tributary to a river that leads to an ocean. But Twin Flame Ascension School and Life Purpose class like has the whole ocean for you of like what to be in alignment with your twin flame and living your purpose with your twin flame, right? And frankly, I listen all of these things for a reason because they're all very, very important. But if I had only been talking to my coach, it would have been taken like, I don't know how much is long, probably 10 times or more as long for me to come out of the dark night of the soul. But because I was being coached by my coach and studying Twin Flame Ascension School and Life Purpose class and listening to that, because it's communicating a vibration of love and it's communicating how you go deeper in just surrendering to loving yourself, especially in places and in times where it feels really sticky and difficult, like a dark night of the soul. I don't know what I would have done. Like, it would have taken 10 times as long. And the twin flame journey is very intense and it brings up all the things. So it's key. You don't become a doctor without going to medical school. You don't come into harmonious union without practicing the teachings of union. And if you're on the twin flame journey and in a dark night of the soul, like, my God, like, give yourself the teachings of union, please. Like, whatever way you can begin, do it, because it's going to help you. So moving on to the next key. Yeah, key number 11. So the final thing that brought me out of the dark night of the soul was routinely in my inner work and on a daily basis was accepting that love is real and being open to love being real. And if love is real, that means the fears I was having can't sustain when I just love myself there. You have to be willing to believe in love and live a life of love more than you are attached to the story of suffering and of fear and of pain. That's truly, at the end of the day, kind of the choice you have to make. That choice will bring you to where you want to be with your twin flame and with yourself. Listening to the teachings of union is going to help you come to that place in all levels of yourself. So yeah, like, love is the final key. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope it helped some of you out there. And if it did, let me know. Let me know how. Let me know if you have other questions about a dark night of the soul or just kind of what I experienced in it. Happy to, maybe I'll make another video in the future. But yeah, I will see you next time.